In this session we look at the strategic management process. What is the strategic management process? It is the full set of commitments, decisions and actions required for a firm to achieve strategic competitiveness and earn above average returns. So, the two terms which are important is strategic competitiveness and above average returns. What is this strategic competitiveness? Achieved when a firm successfully formulates and implements a value creating strategy. So, what is this value creating strategy? Suppose you have, it can be demonstrated to you by a number of examples. Suppose you had, let us say, just some wooden pieces. These wooden pieces by maybe let us say it is teak wood wooden pieces. These teak wood wooden pieces by themselves may not have value. Now, let us say you made use of these teak wood wooden pieces and came out with a teak wood chair. Immediately value gets created into this product, and this is what happens in the present day organizations. So, if you look at most of these well known players in the world today, they always encourage their employees to come out with suggestions. So, whether it is a manufacturing company like General Motors or Ford or anything this thing in the United States context, and or a non-manufacturing company as well. Suppose it is what do you call these companies in the retailing scenario, whether it is the Amazon or whatever. So, they always invite suggestions from their employers, and if the suggestion from the employee is accepted and if they are able to act on that suggestion to create a strategy, then this employee will be handsomely rewarded. Okay. So, there is always a box which you can find in most of these divisions in the company, whether it is Intel or any this thing, and these boxes many times are getting suggestions from the employees, whether it is with reference to your canteen or with reference to your transport. So many suggestions are given. They find out which suggestions can be feasible and implemented, which could be a strategic decision, all those types of things. So, this helps in the organization getting or becoming strategically competitive. What is this above average returns? Occurs when a firm develops a strategy that competitors are not simultaneously implementing. So, none other than the example of the Gillette company. Okay. So, many companies wanted to come out with this triple blade technology, could not. Okay. And this triple blade technology, that is a MASH 3, holds sway even in the present day context. Suppose you are able to get above average returns, what can happen? It provides benefits which current and potential competitors are unable to duplicate. So, you developed a strategy which your competitors are not capable of duplicating, could not duplicate, then it provides you, that is the organization, with current with benefits for a long time. That is, it helps you to have a sustainable competitive advantage. So, we look at some important definitions. Many times you may be wondering, people say this is a risky investment. What is this risky investment? What is this risk which they are talking of? An investor's uncertainty about the economic gains or losses that will result from a particular investment. So, many times in the market you see these IPOs, that is the initial public offerings coming from many companies. So, a 1 rupee share is asked or is being quoted at 900 rupees in the marketplace. The company is not even listed. For 1 rupee share of the company, it wants 900 rupees from the investor. So, if you are paying 900 rupees, the company will give you 1 rupee share of that company. What does it mean? In real terms, it means that if you took this one share, you have already incurred a loss of 899 rupees over that. You have put 900 rupees and 1 rupee is the company going to give you, assuming that the company is not performing to the expectations or whatever it is. Now, when the company lists itself in the marketplace, suppose it says the 1 rupee share of the company is getting listed at 1000 rupees. What does that mean? It means that you are able to not only recover your 900 rupees, but also make a profit of 100 rupees more on your investment. Now, when you put this 900 rupees on this 1 rupee share, you take a lot of risk. So, this is where what happened to many of the software companies when they started in 84, including Infosys. Okay. So, many thought that all these computer companies are not going to survive, but what is presently happening? It looks as though it is all those predictions have been belied. So, it has been defeated. These computer companies are holding sway. In fact, they are dictating the strategic scenario of the country as well. Then what is this average returns? Average returns are those returns that are equal to those an investor expects to earn from other investments with a similar amount of risk. Okay. Suppose I put my 100 rupees in a bank and I am able to get, let us say, 8 rupees as interest after 1 year. This is assumption. Bank gives you 8% interest. Now, the present interest rate of the bank has come down. Many times it may be less than 6% also. Okay. So, this is the average return that you expect from the marketplace. Suppose you are putting it in a company, you should be able to get a better return, that is you should be able to get more than 8%. Otherwise, why should you take so much of risk and put the money in the company? So, average returns are those equal to the returns that are equal to those an investor expects to earn from other investments with a similar amount of risk. Okay. Suppose you put it in a bank, you got 8%. Suppose you put the same money, let us say, in another software company and you are able to get 9%. So, you are getting better than the bank interest, 1% more, then it is giving you a better return compared to the whole compared to the risk that you took. So, many times if you look at the present day share markets, what is the present day scenario? The present day scenario in the country is that the present day Indian youth is prepared to take risks. This is different from the scenario a few decades earlier. No, they were all risk averse. So, they were not interested in taking risk. So, the present day scenario in the country is that never did we expect that India would be able to provide loans to a country like Russia. Now, in the present day setup, India has provided loan of, according to papers, more than $1 billion to Russia, thanks to this Russia Ukraine war or whatever it is. So, Russia has sought this loan and India has provided. Not to speak of so many countries which have availed this loan. Now, Sri Lanka has gone into this economic trap well set up by China, and it fell into that trap. When it fell into that trap, again a sort of a minimal bailout is getting or is being given by India, $450 million in loan again given in India. So many other countries have also availed of loans from the country. So, which was 1 or 2 decades back unthinkable that we were able to dole out so many loans, and never thinkable that Russia we are able to dole out a loan of $1 billion. Okay. This is what happens when your economy is doing well. Okay. What does this give you? It gives you a strategic flexibility in the marketplace, whether it is with reference to the country or whether it is with reference to a company in the marketplace. What is the strategic flexibility? The flexibility stands for a set used to respond to various demands and opportunities existing in a dynamic and uncertain competitive environment. So, one need not think that only companies are having this uncertain and dynamic competitive environment. It is also countries which are having this dynamic and uncertain competitive environment. So, this is being amplified by the present day war which is happening between Russia and Ukraine. So, what is happening? Here you have so many countries which are unable to really sustain the onslaught of this war. The commodity prices in those countries have really gone up, including the oil. So, many countries are bringing pressure, including the United States, on India not to buy the oil from Russia. So, because we are importing oil from Russia, okay, the fuel prices have gone up, but still India as a big country is still able to hold on. So, these are the types of strategic flexibility a country derives by a strong leadership. Okay. If you have a strong leadership and a leadership capable of giving directions, so you can still sustain yourself in an uncertain competitive environment. It happens with respect to companies, with respect to nations as well. It involves with coping with uncertainty and the accompanying risks. So, with all this, we can look at the strategic management process. The strategic management process, we are looking at it in the form of blocks. So, what is the first block? The first block looks at determination of purpose or mission. Why is this organization created? I gave the example of ITI. When it was started in 1948, the first public sector undertaking to be started in the country to meet the telecommunication demands of the country. That was the purpose for which this company was established. What is the second block? The second block is environmental assessment, that is the threats and opportunities. At that point of time in the country, it was only opportunities, there was no threat. ITI was the only player. Okay. Whatever it put out into the market would sell like a hot cake, including its black mechanical telephone, black dial mechanical telephone, which used to weigh 10 kgs at that point of time. So, many times people used to wonder what happens if this 10 kg phone where telephone instrument were to fall on the leg will break of the person using it. But what is the present day scenario? The present day scenario is where you have slim phones, even it falls on your leg, nothing will happen. Many times these are plastic phones. When these plastic phones and they are made with such this thing nicety that even when it falls, there will be no impact on the user and there will be no impact on the instrument as well, because it is not also going to break so easily unless you drop it from a great height. So, this is these are things which are coming in the block of environmental assessment. In the present day context, that phone which was the what do you call this mechanical phone of ITI not able to sustain in the marketplace. So, it can be, it is as good as a museum piece. Then the third one, the organizational analysis, that is the strengths and weaknesses. Suppose you had only people who were capable of producing mechanical type of instruments, then when the market has moved into electronics, you are not able to move in that manner, then it is a great weakness for the organization. You have to move into that manner. Okay. So, in order to sustain yourself in the marketplace, that is the third block. So, in the second block you are looking at environmental assessment, the third block you are looking at organizational analysis. The second and the third blocks put together, we call it what is called the SWOT analysis. Okay. The first block leads to the fourth block. What is that fourth block? From the mission or the purpose, you specify the objectives. So, if you specify the objectives, you will know for which sector, which type of objective is required. For defense, what is that which you require? So, many times this when you are looking at defense, even the present day context, the Morse code communication is being still used, I was told. So, this is to keep your strategy hidden from the prying eyes of the enemy. So, unless he knows how to really decipher this Morse code, he will not be able to decipher what is the strategy you have in the in this war field. And for a country like India, essentially required, because we have only enemies surrounding the country, whether it is this side or the other side. So, with so many enemies around, you should have highly effective strategies in the war field arena as well. So, the specification of objectives, suppose you do it, it requires for you to redefine and revise as needed. So, you should keep on revisiting this, and when you do that, you may have to revisit your mission also in the whole process. So, in order to revisit this, when you revisit this mission, some things may undergo changes, that is redetermine as needed. So, the fourth block leads to the fifth block, where you formulate the strategy or the strategic plan to achieve objectives and goals. So, here again you keep on revisiting this. Kindly note that all this is a continuous process, it is not a process one time. You keep on visiting this process day after day till the whole process gets completed, then reformulate as needed. The fifth block leads you to the sixth block, that is implementation or execution of the strategic plan. So, this may require reworking. Suppose you think that there is a course correction which is required in the implementation exercise, you should be able to do that. That is where you lead, the sixth block leads you to the seventh block, that is monitoring, reviewing and evaluation. and all this leads you to recycle to phases 1, 4, 5 and 6 as needed. So, here is a very nice depiction of the strategic management decision making process in the form of blocks. Okay. This can be put down in again in a different manner. So, the environment in this, when you look at this diagram, this environmental analysis, it is put in two blocks. One is the external block, second is the internal block. What is this external block telling you? On the social environment, the task environment, giving you the opportunities and threats. What is the internal block telling you? It is on the structure within the organization, culture within the organization, resources in the organization, essentially your strengths and weaknesses. When you look at this next compartment on strategic formulation, you are looking at the mission, mission leads to objectives, objective leads to strategies, strategies leads to policies, and then you come to the third compartment, that is the implementation of the strategy. So, in order to implement the strategy, what you are going to do? You are going to formulate programs. Programs will entail assigning budgets. These budgets, after they are assigned, you come to the nitty gritties, that is the procedures to implement this whole strategy. And the last block is the evaluation and the control, which essentially is the performance of this whole strategic planning exercise. And at the bottom of all this is a feedback and control going to all the blocks, whether it is the environmental analysis or the strategic formulation or the implementation of the strategy or the evaluation and control. So, this strategic planning management process is given by these compartments in this block. Now, what is the objective of all this exercise of this strategic management decision making? The main thrust, the main purpose, the main intention of all this is to make the organization a learning organization. Kindly note that we are always in the process of learning, whether it is right from the childhood down to your youth, to your what do you call middle age, or even to your old age, you are keeping on learning. So, what does this learning? It is the same with respect to organizations. An organization has to become a learning organization in the present day competitive context, otherwise it will cease to exist. Okay. What are the four main activities of a learning organization? One is solving problems systematically. So, do not do some hodgepodge type of work, it is not going to work. The second is experimenting with new approaches. In other words, an organization should be able to take some risk. Do not keep on saying I am risk averse. No, it does not hold in the present day marketplace. Third one, learning from their own past experiences and past history, as well as from the experiences of others. What is this? You create what is called a knowledge bank. You have executed so many projects, let us say an organization, and you have come across so many difficult situations in this project management process which you have done. So, you create a knowledge management pool. So, if some other project in the future you are encountering the same type of situation, you can apply this solution there. So, most of the present day software organizations, the majors mainly, whether it is the Infosys or the Wipro or the TCS, you all or even good medium scale enterprises like Mindtree always have pride on this knowledge bank. So, they have executed so many projects and when they have come into these types of solving problem scenarios with respect to that project, and the same scenario is really replicating in the present project, let us say, immediately they will bring that solution, and most of the times it has worked. So, transferring knowledge quickly and efficiently. So, this is what organizations call KPO, all those types of things. So, these are the 4 main activities of a learning organization, which you have to really do in the present day context. This is required, and this is required to survive in the marketplace, and all that helps you to look at modes of decision making. This modes of decision making was given by this well known gentleman Mintzberg. So, we will look at this Mintzberg's modes of decision making in the next session. So, thank you. We will come back in the next class.